Grace Buckingham's pulse thundered in her ears as she crouched in the shadowed alcove of an abandoned warehouse rumored to be Luna's hideout, the cold concrete biting through the thin fabric of her blouse. And every stray syllable of breeze carried the ghosts of Zoe's laughter and Paris's shy questions, haunting her with the terror that if she faltered, if her plan unraveled or her nerves snapped, her two little girls would pay the ultimate price. She replayed every fleeting glance, every whispered promise she had made to them. "Mommy will fix this." Yet she felt as though a suicide pact bound her to the darkest corners of her soul, where failure meant their ruin. Across the dimly lit room, crates stacked like silent sentinels formed a labyrinth in which she paced, every footstep measured in dread, while rumors swirled among the underworld that she and Luna had formed an unholy alliance. Luna serving as the ruthless protector of Grace's secrets, the very fanatic whose bullet had almost ended Liam's life, now shielding the woman whose brilliance had saved him from an inoperable brain tumor. Grace's mind reeled, the irony of salvation and damnation entwined in her own flesh. She'd traded the freedom of her once celebrated position at Buckingham Global for the gilded cage of secrecy and subterfuge, and now Reese Buckingham, her estranged cousin with eyes like a wolf's and ambition sharp enough to carve mountains, appeared from the darkness demanding his cut of the spoils, his voice silky with entitlement as he reminded her of the deal they'd struck in whispered hours. He would collect a fortune if she handed over the keys to everyone's sins. Grace's breath hitched as she saw his silhouette step into the faint shaft of moonlight, Reese's tailored suit stained with the grime of the city, a mocking smile twisting his lips. "This ends tonight," he purred, extending a leather folder that contained her fate, bank records, offshore accounts, recordings of illicit meetings, proof enough to bury the Spencer dynasty, to pulverize the legacy of Forrester and Buckingham alike. Grace swallowed the bile rising in her throat. She had nothing left but raw fear and the love that magnetized her heart to Zoe and Paris's warm embrace. She could hear the distant thrum of helicopter blades, the mercenaries Bill Spencer had hired, ruthless men rumored to come from the blackest contracts the military would deny, converging on her hideout. She raked a hand through her hair, mind ablaze. If she could secure immunity by confessing everything in a single, explosive televised hearing, she could ensure her daughter's safety. A full, unvarnished admission in exchange for protection under the law. She pictured the courtroom cameras trained on her as she laid bare the truths that had corroded California's most powerful families, Bill's clandestine payments, Quinn's unwitting betrayals, Luna's vigilante justice, Reese's cunning treachery, and her own hand in orchestrating the miracle that had delivered Liam from death's door. One statement could topple empires. The Spencers' empire of graft and influence, the Forrester couture empire built on secrets stitched into every seam, and the Buckingham fortune erected on a foundation of power plays and silent sacrifices. Behind her, the metallic rasp of a warrant being executed tore through the night as Dr. John Finn Finnegan led a squad of uniformed officers into the warehouse, badge flashes illuminating their determined faces. Grace's heart both sank and soared. The law had come for her, but with them, she could force a bargain. She clenched the folder containing her confession, values of lives measured in ink and subpoenas. Outside, the mercenaries fanned out, their chatter low, their intent vicious, and Grace realized that if the law didn't bind her, they would. In that instant, she made her choice. She would walk into the lion's den of live television and recount every clandestine transfer, every whispered bribe, every midnight rendezvous, every slip of moral compromise, in exchange for the immunity that would shield her daughters from retribution. Her fingers trembled as she dialed Reese's number on the burner phone, the mercenaries' whistles echoing through the steel rafters, Finn's voice calling orders just beyond the crates. "Reese," she said when he answered, voice steely with conviction, "I'm ready." The next morning, as dawn bled through courtroom windows and producer lights glared like suns, Grace stood before a sea of cameras, her palms pressed against the podium, Zoe and Paris safely nested under her parents' care far from the chaos she'd unleashed. Reese sat in the front row, smug anticipation tangible in the crease of his suit jacket. Bill Spencer, steely and silent, watched from the gallery. Dr. Finn perched at the prosecutor's table, a legal watchful eye ready to pounce should she step out of bounds. The moderator's voice seemed distant as Grace swallowed and began. "My name is Grace Buckingham, and I stand here today to reveal the hidden truths behind those celebrated names you think you know." She paused, gauging the cameras, the millions of viewers riveted to their screens. Then she spoke of the $1 million transfer that had saved Liam Spencer's life, detailing every clandestine deal, every unspoken transaction. She named the shadowy mercenaries Bill had engaged, the illegal immunity pacts negotiated with city council members. She confessed her relationship with Luna, painting a portrait of vigilante justice that had spiraled beyond anyone's control. She laid bare Reese's demands and his orchestration of leaks designed to topple Buckingham Global. She exposed Steele Forrester's unwitting complicity, Quinn's fatal miscalculations, and how every strand of deception was woven into the fabric of the Logan Forrester-Spencer-Buckingham alliance. With each revelation, the faces around her blanched. Ridge's stern jaw slackened as he realized his family's empire of elegance rested on a bed of secrets. Katie Logan's tears glistened as she comprehended her own husband's betrayal. Steffi gripped Hope's hand so tightly her knuckles whitened. Bill shifted in his seat, rage and relief warring behind his eyes. Reese's composure cracked ever so slightly as he recognized his own name on the official record. Grace's voice tremored only once, when she admitted her deepest truth, that she had orchestrated Liam's medical miracle with the intent of claiming his gratitude and, ultimately, his heart. Then she raised her chin, eyes blazing with the fierce love of a mother who would sacrifice everything for her children, and concluded, "I ask this court, and I ask this nation, to grant me immunity so that Zoe and Paris can grow up free of this poison, and so that the sins of our past can finally be aired in the light, where truth alone can heal the wounds we've inflicted on each other." Silence thundered until the gavel fell. In that moment, legacies teetered on an edge sharper than any blade. The Spencer name, once synonymous with ruthless power, quivered. The Forrester thread of elegance threatened to unravel under the weight of scandal. Buckingham Global's golden facade shimmered and fractured. And as Grace was escorted from the courtroom, her future uncertain but her daughter safe, the world watched, breathless, knowing that in a single confession she had rewritten the destinies of every dynasty she touched, and that the aftershocks of her words would resonate through every gilded hall and shattered heart for years to come. Since returning to Los Angeles, Nick Marone's entire focus has been on winning back Brooke Logan's heart, his determination sharper than ever as he seeks to remind her of the passion and promise they once shared. Yet this week, fate throws him a curveball in the form of Taylor Hayes, his former wife, whose unexpected reappearance sets his world spinning anew. At a quiet cafe near the beach, Taylor greets Nick with a gentle smile and news that stops his heart for a moment. She and Ridge Forrester are engaged. The confession slips from her lips softly, almost shyly. She and Ridge have rediscovered the love that once bound them, and they chose to cement it with an engagement ring brighter than any in the Forrester vault. Nick's initial shock gives way to a slow, deliberate smile that belies the tumult roiling beneath his calm exterior. He leans back in his chair and nods, voice steady, congratulating Taylor on her engagement and declaring that now, at last, his path to Brooke is unobstructed. He tells Taylor that this announcement will put an end to the endless Bridge speculation. No more Brooke and Ridge reconciliations, no more Estar or Estar apart, only the undivided attention he's vowed to give Brooke from the moment he returned to town. In Nick's eyes, there is a spark of triumph, as though Taylor's announcement has unshackled him from the past and cleared a straight road to the woman he loves. Taylor, for her part, feels a complicated surge of relief and regret. Relief that the man she once married accepts her choice without rancor. Regret that the chasm between her and Nick, once bridged by warm memories and shared dreams, now yawns wider than ever. As they part ways under the glow of early afternoon sunlight, both wonder whether this new alliance, Taylor and Ridge, will stand firm against the undercurrents of destiny, or whether the bonds that once drew Brooke and Ridge together will prove too strong to break for good. Meanwhile, at Forrester Creations, patriarch Eric Forrester has made it his personal mission to convince Ridge that Brooke Logan is the only woman destined to stand at his side, regardless of the ring now glinting on Taylor's finger. In the vaulted expanse of his office, surrounded by fashion sketches and framed photographs of happier times, Eric pours his heart out to his eldest son, reminding him of the magnetic chemistry that has drawn Brooke and Ridge together for decades, and accusing Ridge of allowing convenience and comfort to cloud his judgment. Ridge, adamant in his love for Taylor and convinced that their renewed engagement represents a future built on stability and mutual understanding, counters his father's entreaties with quiet firmness. He respects Brooke's passion and cherishes their memories. But he belongs with Taylor now. She shares his vision of unity and healing after the fires they both endured. Eric's eyes flash with disappointment as he delivers his final plea, voice thick with emotion. "The only woman on this earth who is truly meant for you is Brooke Logan," he declares, laying a father's hand on Ridge's shoulder. "No other woman, no matter how noble or caring, possesses the spark, the challenge, the love that you and Brooke have forged through every trial. You're star-crossed, Ridge. Brooke is your destiny." Ridge, torn between filial love and the promise of a fresh start with Taylor, refuses to yield, insisting that his heart has found a new rhythm. A steadier, gentler melody in Taylor's arms, and that he must follow where it leads. As the afternoon light shifts to gold, father and son stand divided in Eric's office, the unspoken tension thrum mingling with the hush of creativity in the adjoining design studios. Each man resolved but uncertain whether blood or passion will prevail in deciding Ridge's future. Meanwhile, the aftershocks of Liam Spencer's miraculous recovery reverberate through Los Angeles' hospitals as Dr. John Finnegan arrives at the Spencer Forrester wing to share news of Liam's surgery with Bridget Forrester. In a private consultation room, Finn recounts the astonishing details. Thanks to Dr. Grace Buckingham's groundbreaking treatment, the brain tumor that was deemed inoperable not only proved operable but has been completely excised. Liam, he explains, is out of surgery and on the road to recovery, his prognosis better than anyone dared hope. Bridget's face lights up with equal parts relief and euphoria. Tears slip down her cheeks as she absorbs the gravity of her husband's survival. She reaches for Finn's hand, gratitude flooding her. Yet Finn's expression darkens just enough to betray the lingering shadows in his mind. He confesses that while the surgical outcome is indeed a miracle, certain details simply don't add up. How could a tumor so complex vanish so cleanly? How did Grace's clinic bypass the usual chain of approvals and ethical reviews? Finn acknowledges that medicine is as much art as science, but he cannot shake the suspicion that something about Liam's recovery has been orchestrated beyond the bounds of standard practice. Bridget, still trembling with hope, listens as Finn's doubt seeps into her joy, and she wonders whether she should confront Grace or trust that Finn's instincts are overcautious. Finn, driven by a commitment to truth and patient welfare, decides to seek answers before raising alarms. He asks Bridget to keep Liam's condition confidential while he conducts his discreet inquiry. With Bridget's hesitant agreement, Finn departs, determination etched in his gaze. His search propels him to Grace Buckingham's upscale clinic, where the scent of antiseptic mingles with hushed conversations and the hum of advanced medical equipment. Finn secures permission. Or, more precisely, pressure from the administrator to review Liam's MRI scans and treatment records under the guise of continuity of care. In the dimly lit radiology suite, he examines the images. The tumor's margins are unnaturally crisp, the resection margins wider and cleaner than typical for such a case. The postoperative scans lacking the expected traces of edema and diffusion anomalies. His heart pounds as he cross-references the timestamps on the imaging with the official surgical logs and discovers discrepancies, times that don't align, entries that seem to have been backdated. Finn's breath catches in his throat when he realizes the implications. If Grace manipulated Liam's scans or the documentation to present a miracle cure, then Liam's life, and perhaps Grace's reputation and entire career, rests on a deception of unprecedented magnitude. He knows that exposing this fraud could shatter Grace's world, dissolve the aura of benevolence she's cultivated, and cast doubt on the legitimacy of the outcome itself, potentially jeopardizing Liam's legal status and insurance coverage. Yet as he stands amid the silent monitors and empty corridors, Finn resolves that truth must prevail, whatever the cost. Across town, Grace Buckingham, unaware that her carefully constructed narrative is unraveling under Finn's scrutiny, moves through her week with the practiced ease of someone accustomed to power and praise. She juggles media interviews celebrating her medical breakthrough, navigates private board meetings at Buckingham Global, and answers heartfelt messages from grateful patients. But beneath her poised exterior roils an undercurrent of fear. Fear that Finn's suspicions will lead him to her clinic's back rooms, uncover the inconsistencies in her records, and bring the full weight of public scrutiny crashing down. Meanwhile, Nick and Taylor's engagement announcement reverberates through the grapevine, prompting speculation in every social circle and sending shockwaves through the hearts of Brooke and Ridge. Brooke, caught between relief that the obsessive will they or won't they saga may finally be over and a flicker of anguish at losing Ridge to Taylor forever, finds herself at a loss, unmoored by the sudden certainty of Ridge's choice. Ridge, for his part, stands before a mirror in his father's house, ring on finger, torn between the comfort of commitment and the magnetic pull of the life he once envisioned with Brooke. Eric, watching from the doorway, wonders if his son's conviction will hold or if destiny will reassert itself. And Finn, poring over the last of Grace's files, understands that the coming days will test every bond in Los Angeles, from the ties of marriage to the codes of medical ethics to the loyalties of family. In a city where love and power dance on the same razor's edge, where chance encounters can ignite or extinguish hearts, and where the line between healing and deception can blur in an instant, the choices of Nick, Taylor, Ridge, Brooke, Eric, Grace, Finn, and Bridget will collide in a crescendo of revelations and reckonings. As liaisons are pledged, destinies challenged, and secrets poised to surface, one truth remains. When love and ambition intertwine, no one in Los Angeles emerges unscathed. The question now is not who will end up with whom, but how many lives will be reshaped or shattered before the final curtain falls on this chapter of the bold and the beautiful.